Welcome, Captains. This is USS Endeavor. I wanted to take a moment and give my personal review and kind of a beginner guide to those who are just now getting the Carnot. So if you're a veteran and you'd rather skip ahead to the actual gameplay, I've left the time code below. So let's take a look at it. The commander I'm using is Lemonnier, which is the cruiser commander that helps with range and more gun performance. Its main base perk allows you to drop your detection earlier than normal. The inspirations I'm using are Kuznetsov, which helps increase the range because you will want to shoot this from range. And the other is Müller, which is the German cruiser commander, which helps with your speed, which builds into the strength of this ship as we are about to take a look at. Another inspiration you could use is Mimbelli, which would help reduce the main battery reload, helping your gun performance better, as that is the weakest point on this ship. So those are all free options that you can use at your disposal. For my 4 module slots, in the first I have chosen turret traverse. In the second I have chosen steering gears. The third, the concealment mod. And the last slot, main battery reload. Now these are just what I picked. You could go with double rudder if you wanted something more agile, and if you wanted to help with your dispersion, in the first mod slot you could trade the turret traverse for the aiming systems mod. So this is what I used because the turrets are pretty slow and I want to play this from range. And for me, it's worth sacrificing a little dispersion. Survivability is at 66,450 hit points with a torpedo damage reduction of 25%. The Carnot is equipped with an interesting turret layout with 10 guns in 3 turrets. The 2 in the front is 1 triple and 1 quad turret, with the rear being 1 triple turret, meaning you have 7 of your 10 guns facing forward. The 305 millimeter caliber is going to really help, and you can see the fire setting chance is at 28%. However, I wouldn't count on the HE shells to do a lot of your work for you. The AP is really where it's at, so anytime you have a broadside target, that's the shell you should be shooting. And the DPM for both HE and AP is the lowest at the tier for cruisers. And that makes sense because your battery reload is really slow. However, your speed is what makes this ship different from any other ship at the tier. And as a cruiser, it is the fastest by far. The maximum speed stock for my build is 38.7 knots. And with the engine speed boost activated, you can get it to 45.5 knots. The rudder shift and turning circle radius are not great and feel more like a battleship than a cruiser. However, your speed is what makes you amazing, getting you into places you normally wouldn't be able to, mainly at the start of a match.
Boost des moteurs activé.
With this build, you also have a base detectability by sea at 11.9, essentially 12 kilometers. However, the range of the main guns reaches to almost 18.9 as well, giving you a 7-kilometer buffer between what you can hit and when you are detected. Firing your guns in smoke will yield you a 10.6 kilometer detection. So definitely not something you want to be sitting still in anyway. Speed is your friend, and using that at range will help people miss. The armor feels very cruiser-like for a heavy cruiser. With a 25 millimeter bow and stern, it can be overmatched by most battleships at tier 7, 8, and legendary. So bow tanking in the Carnot is not advisable. The best strategy that I would implore is to stay angled enough to where you become just juicy enough of a target for your battleships to try and hit you in the middle of the ship, and then angle appropriately as those shells are coming in. And then hopefully your armor that is in the midship can bounce those shells a lot more effectively than you can bow tanking. So we're on the map Haven and we spawn mid on again, I don't know why I keep showcasing these game modes, but it always seems to be the game mode that is the least fun to play. Capture the base mode yet again. So because we spawn mid, we don't really have an opportunity to be the farthest on the flank, but we are going to push on the our right side. The Kronstadt that's over there is deciding to abandon that side, so we're going to take his place and head as far out as we can, hopefully without getting spotted. And the best way to do that is to get up to speed. So we hit the engine boost, giving us that 20% extra, allowing us to get up pretty fast. And we are in a legendary match, so we are bottom tier. Since there are no real objectives other than the base itself, and there are none that are capturable to generate points, this essentially turns into a death match. And this is why these game modes can sometimes be really boring, because everybody will clump up or push to one side. You never quite know what you're going to get, other than people are going to make mistakes. And so trying to stay on the outskirts, allowing the other ships to push forward, is really the name of the game. There are torps that are coming from that smoke cloud, and it is the Daring, and they take out the Kleber, which is unfortunate. So now we're down a ship on this side, and it's just me and the battleship, which is a Prince Rupert. But for all of the Kleber's demise, he did get the Pommern with the Dev Strike, so it's not all for loss. Although trading a destroyer for a battleship, I would have liked that if I were on the opposing team. The Ruprecht is going to push around the corner. I'm guessing because he feels being up close using his secondaries is the way to go. However, what we're going to find on this side is we are about to get overwhelmed in a hurry. And fortunately for me, not so much the Ruprecht. He is the prime target that all 5, that's right, 5, because there is a Daring out here that's not spotted, is going to get focused. And he has basically committed. There's nothing he can do at this point, and I'm realizing at this juncture, this is a losing battle every time. So unfortunately, I can't help the Ruprecht. I'm going to have to tuck tail and run. Choose your battles, people. Know when you're going up against an overwhelming force, and when 5 of the 7 remaining ships are all pretty much off your bow, it's time to turn around and reassess and re-engage. There, the Ruprecht, not surprisingly, goes down due to that overwhelming force, and now I'm using my speed to try and disengage as quickly as I possibly can. More torps come in from the Ruprecht, so even though our 2 ships, the Kleber and Ruprecht, were taken out rather quickly, they did take ships with them as they went, so it's not all for nothing. Here we're not spotted, but we are located, which I can only presume is the Daring that is still on that side. And if you look at the map, all of our ships are kind of cluttered together in the same spot, and I'm the only one out here on the flank. and I cannot take on all these ships, not in a Carnot. I'm best suited to be a surprise, and everyone knows I'm here. So I have to reassess and backtrack back to my team, back to the base. For all my efforts, it was a good idea, but alas, it's not going to pan out the way that I had hoped. But that's okay. I'm still alive. I actually haven't taken any damage at all up to this point. I have done 40,000 myself, and no one seems to want to shoot me. I'm not the juiciest target, apparently, but I am spotted, and it's probably from the Daring, who is making his way towards the base. And so my hope is to rejoin the forces over here with the Blues, just to try and figure out how is the rest of this match going to unfold. These game modes can sometimes be a little boring because of that, but you know, it is what it is. You do the best you can with the situation that you're given. And the Carnot, in my opinion, does a really good job at excelling at ranges. And so that's what I'm using it for. Not particularly the play style that I enjoy, but it is the best role for this ship. Up close and personal in the Carnot doesn't work out that well. So still taking shots at the enemy Carnot. He's slightly angled, so these aren't going to do anything major to him, but he does take a nasty whack right there, probably right through the bow. And we have a Yamato behind that could shoot at us, and so we got to be mindful of that. Still spotted, still located. It is definitely the Daring, and that is my biggest concern, is that the Daring is going to try and make a play towards the Cap. He has torpedoes. He has really good DPM. He's probably the best performing destroyer in the game right now, and it's a very powerful ship in the right hands. I have to be very careful of this. I am thankful that some of their ships that are left are being pushed by our overwhelming force. So all of the ships that were chasing me kind of left their Cap open, and there's a good showcase of angling that armor and taking minimal damage. Of course, the Yamato didn't really hit me with a lot of shells, and its shells can overmatch pretty much anywhere on my ship. And here come torpedoes. This is actually pretty fascinating. I thought that this battleship next to me was dead, but all of these torpedoes fall short before they get to him. Talk about panic-inducing relief, I guess, because if that were me, I would have been, oh boy, I'm done, and then realizing, nope, they ran out. It's kind of a fortunate coincidence. So there the Daring pops up, smoking up, shooting as he does, so he does reveal his location. And now I have a choice to make. I have my Hydro available. Torps already came in, so the chances of his Torps being reloaded in time are pretty low. I'm not spotted because of the Daring smoke, so thankful for that, but I'm also not in the detection ring yet. Yamato takes a big hit, so now we're going to focus him. Takes another big hit, and I set a fire, and not sure if he's close enough for Will to rebuild. He might be, which is why he's still staying alive, or he has a heal. In either case, he's not too far along for this world, and we take one more shot at him before the Daring pops back up, and another fire for our efforts. Not enough to take it down, somebody else has to, which is fine. The Yamato is a huge threat to us, and now the Daring is the only threat to really winning the game at this point. We have the overwhelming ship lead, but the Daring, like I said, is a really, really good destroyer. And now he's tucking tail and running. But I am faster than he is. So as long as I can dodge, knowing I have battleship support behind me to possibly take shots if I can spot the Daring, I'm going to do something that's a little risky, but I think is the right move for given the situation. The ship count is still pretty close. We are up by 1, and if I were to go down to these torpedoes, that would be disastrous. But the daring has to turn his ship in order to get those off to potentially hit me, which will slow him down enough to let me catch up. And now that I'm within his detection ring, he's just permanently spotted. He can't disengage unless he pops a smoke, which he does get quick smokes. So I have to remember that. But there's really nowhere for him to go. I am going to catch him, and every time he misses with torpedoes, and there we take out one of the launchers. So now his torpedo DPM has been cut in half. So that's one less threat that I have to worry about. Pops his smoke in desperation, and when he does that and I drop spot, that's my opportunity to kind of change my direction. Always try to keep them guessing. That helps, even though he does have twist and track that knows my location. He already knows that, but as far as specific direction, it can throw him off a bit. And so here we go, hitting him again. And this is just... The Carnot is not a great DD hunter. But when you're one-on-one like this, you do have Hydro when it is available to help you spot torpedoes. I think this particular play is more of an exception to the rule. I wouldn't necessarily advise this if the destroyer had backup like earlier in the match. There's no way I would push the daring when he has 4 other ships behind him watching. And here he disengages again, but I take a blind shot and I connect with 3 of the shells. So take him out. Into the match, we win. And overall, the Carnot, not bad. I ended up first on the leaderboard in a legendary match, so interesting. Not the best XP, not even the best damage, but apparently well enough to do well in this game mode. I do have one more thing that I'd like to discuss, and I'm going to talk about the ship service cost. For those new captains that are getting the Carnot, and this is their first campaign reward ship at tier 8, I wanted to show this, which is the serviced ship cost for the ship that you are just now getting. If you look under the premium ship service cost at the bottom, you'll notice that it is 160,000. That is the amount that is deducted from your silver the moment you load it into the battle. Regardless of how you perform, they're going to deduct that from your credits. The thing that I need you to understand is that you can earn that back, but that comes through the game. So sitting back, not playing the objectives, not shooting at anything is not going to contribute to that, and you're going to end up losing money over the long term if you consistently play this ship at this tier, or any other tier 8 ship for that matter. And the reason for that is because it's designed to be used by those veteran players at the tier who have the credits to burn and have played this long enough to understand how to play these higher tier ships. I wanted to showcase those results as well in ship service cost for 2 different battles that I played. Both happened to be on Haven. They were both victories, and the ship service cost for the one on the left was a little over 180,000, and the one on the right was almost 190,000. Now, 160,000 is the ship service cost at base. You lose more silver as you shoot your main guns. That also incurs a cost, which is what is built into the differences between the left and right numbers. However, you can see on the left game, I didn't play as well. I did earn a significant amount, but even with the premium bonus, I had a net loss of 8,025 silver, meaning not only did I not gain the amount back, but I lost. Conversely, the game on the right, I played far better. I actually played more objectives, And this was the results from the game that you just saw. I was first on the leaderboard, whereas the one on the left, I believe I was in the bottom half of the team. This is the reason why you need to play the objectives. If they have caps, you need to go for them. Help spot, get into positions where you can hit the targets for better damage. And when you help support your team and you do it effectively, the game will reward you. And as you can see, the one on the left, far different from the one on the right. The one on the right will earn you more silver in the long run. And it's the difference between a beginner who doesn't really know what they're doing and a veteran player who uses that and can actually make money at higher tiers. So please keep that in mind before you come into these matches. You need to understand it will cost you silver in the long run if you struggle a lot at this tier. My recommendation would be play the bottom tier ships, get to understand and know them better before taking out the higher tier ships for the long term. You will do yourself and your teammates a big favor. So that's a look at the Carnot. The campaign reward ship is a little bit of a mixed bag for me. I'm not gonna lie, it's not the playstyle that I'm used to. It's not a bad ship. It's not the greatest ship. If I had to rate it between 1 and 10, with 1 being the worst and 10 being the best, I'd probably say it's a 6.5. So that's all I got for you today, guys. Fair winds and fair seas, captains. I will see you in the next one.